Thank you very much for your contributions. Hermann, Manfred. So I'd like to just do a wrap-up today to summarize that, but it's difficult for me to summarize everything because I've written so much down. But I'll try my best to do so. So we started today talking about the horrific situation that we're all witnessing in Ukraine. And I'm not in a position at all to understand what's going on there. Nevertheless, something has become very clear to me in the past couple of days. This situation has to do with dependencies that we have on a form of energy. And when I started imagining that we didn't have this dependency anymore, then we can see that this horrible situation could be changed. Today we're talking about sustainability in culture. And I have the feeling that we're dependent on old ways of doing things in our heads, that we need coal and dirty energy to do our work, or that we need to travel hundreds of thousands of kilometers just to share our work with everybody. But if we can think of a way to detach ourselves from these old ways of thinking, we can hopefully create a space that allows our work to grow, culture to grow. So if we can reduce our dependencies, we can hopefully free up space to draw on the creativity of our artists and everything that's positive comes out of that. We can use that to meet our goals. And if we want to use that horrible word, deal, well, I would then say that culture has the power to rethink the future, to use all of its different facets to think of a creative new future. I'd like to go back onto some of the words we heard today from Nicolas. How can we involve the people? How can we make sure that this transformation and ensure that this transformation is sustainable, just, and beautiful, as we've heard in the European Union? This is something that only culture can achieve. And this is one of the greatest goals of the European Union. There's sustainable culture, there's beautiful culture, and there's also just culture. Do we want to design it, or do we want to respond to disasters, as we heard Sebastian say? This is something that we'll also have to take a look at in the future. And I think we have made the great first step forward, and we can build upon the steps we've made today. I'm very much looking forward to this process with you, and I'd like to thank Hermann for initiating this process. So without you, Hermann, we wouldn't have had this whole space here for us to discuss this, and without the French presidency of the Council of the European Union, we wouldn't have this either. So I'd like to thank France for that as well, and I hope that we can continue moving forward in this vein. So I think it's amazing that we dared to ask questions today that we're not able to answer clearly. We brought the compass out and saw which direction we want to go in. Where's our north? Where's our south? Where's our east? Where's our west? we also came to realize that our answers need to be different. So what works in Germany doesn't necessarily need to work in France. What works in Belgium doesn't necessarily need to work in Italy. But the earlier or the sooner we come together to have a European initiative here, the better it will be. And I think, Hermann, your vision that you have here for us is something that we really need to take into our hands and drive forward. So where to land, thank you very, very much. And I'd like to hand the floor over to you now, Hermann.
Manfred, möchtest du erst was sagen?
Oder an Manfred, ja, Entschuldigung.
Manfred, would you like to say something?
Gehören, weil, wie du schon sagtest, Jakob, war das tatsächlich Hermanns Initiative, für dich auch nochmal sehr
So, Hermann, I'd just like to say thank you, the same as Jacob did, and had a very great time here today. I'm going to be taking a lot with me. And if I can maybe impart you with something, is that we shouldn't be scared of these big problems. We can take tiny steps towards our goal. But we also need to bring some speed into this so that we can make progress. We want to get, of course, more funding. That's necessary, of course. And I think it's important that we work better to distribute financing in a more equitable way. And there needs to be then certain frameworks in place that enable us to distribute this funding perhaps more equitably between all of us. But everything that we heard today has given us great impulses that we can build upon. I was very, very happy to be with you all today, and thank you very much for organizing this.
Merci à vous, merci pour cet échange passionnant.
Thank you so much for this very fruitful exchange. I might be less optimistic than Jacob and the others. I found today very interesting and some of the reflection regarding what Nicolas said, to build up a methodology, to create a dialogue and new methods on how to interact with all the actors in this ecosystem. I found it very insightful. And when criticizing ourselves, well, we wanted to bring in political decision makers, which unfortunately did not work out. What we saw today was that decision makers in the institutions did not even stay until the end. So there's still something that can be improved in the future, but still I found the exchange for today very fruitful, and I'm very much looking forward to any sort of remarks on elaborating such a methodology that Nicolas mentioned, and something else that I will take on from today is that this initiative is also meant to be an opportunity to create something new and not only having to suffer constraints. I think SHIFT project shows that if we continue to have carbon emission like today, it's going to be very dangerous. So it's our obligation to do something about it and to act now. And I'm convinced that despite of the complexity complexity, we could also act as a referee and enable a more systemic approach. Maybe we could have a look at the last slide again, just to share with you the next steps of this initiative. As already mentioned, we created a permanent dialogue with monthly meetings. In April, we won't have any meeting due to private reasons, but we will have further meetings in May and in June. For those of you who aren't part of the monthly meeting yet, I'd like to warmly invite you to get in touch with us at btd@institutfrançais.de, and we will invite you for the next meeting. The next meeting will take place on May 12th and the next one on June 9th. And in October, we will have an in-person on-site event. We will let you know as soon as we'll move on with the next planning steps. We're still thinking about how to implement the next steps. And now I'd like to thank you very much for your attention. As I can see, we still have more than 100 participants that stayed until now. I'm very delighted about the result of this wonderful day, and I'd like to wish you a nice evening now. Thank you.